Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications. And once you're done, leave a comment down below and I just might end up responding.
Has there ever been a pair of words that struck as much fear into the heart of the camera work attentive fan, or maybe Jim Cornette, than Kevin Dunn? Bucky the Beaver, as Corny so eloquently puts it, tends to not do a very great job in his role as executive vice president television production. Whether the camera work goes sloppy, the mics go inconsistent, or some other issue, he's just not always on top of the production, leaving WWE's history with many traces of editorial failures. I'm D Wicked from Watch WWE, and here's 10 of the worst editing mistakes in the company's history. Number 10, that episode of NXT. Because WWE can't find enough bad commentators as it is, here's some more for you. Nah, of course, most of them are fine to great with just one small problem, loudly screaming in their ear. Another voice who will be in the ears of a lot of people working live on WWE products is Kevin Dunn's, which we got to find out firsthand on an old episode of NXT back before it transitioned out of the game show infancy. I have no idea how they managed to do this, but Kevin Dunn's audio was broadcasted alongside the commentators, so we got a pretty interesting behind the scenes look on how Dunn operates the whole production side of the show for one single episode.
Camera in 3, 2, 1, on camera. Okay, send them out, Rico. Tell all these rookies to go backstage.
Number 9, the wrong camera. This one is both really simple and just really stupid, but more so a bit of an entry for me to rant a little bit. Every now and then when watching all sorts of different shows really, you're gonna notice cuts to the crowd, to the live audience, and a few years ago, WWE brought this old mentality back by adding in numerous so many camera cuts. This was a little bit long. Sorry. Most of the time, these camera cuts are admittedly very pointless, but like at least they make sense. You know, John Cena just won a match. Cut to a little kid cheering. The Undertaker's making his entrance. Cut to some lady who's in complete shock and awe. Obvious shit, right? So why in the hell, when Chris Jericho beat up supposed babyface hero, did WWE decide to single out one of the fans in attendance openly cheering Jericho's victory?
Cover, hooks the leg on Reigns, and we've got a brand new United States champion.
Here is your winner.
Number 8, Dean or Diva. Dean Ambrose had to put up with a lot of nonsensical wackiness for his character, the kind of shit that Jon Moxley would really fucking hate. For example, how about this Christmas edition that saw a giant box of presents right by the entrance ramp? I mean, literally, if you've ever watched WWE before, you know what's about to happen. Despite suspicions, Rollins walks straight past the large boxes only for the lunatic fringe to obviously come out, jump the architect, and eventually they'd brawl their way all the way back to the ring only for Dean to end up on the upper hand. Then, instead of his music playing, they played the Total Divas theme song, and wow did he look pissed about it.
Guys, unstable is... I don't know if that's enough to describe Dean Ambrose.
Number 7, that episode of Raw. September 25th, 2006 stands alone in WWE's history as the one and only night that a dark match took place on television, and if you're confused by the contradiction of that statement, you either don't know what Raw I'm talking about, don't know what a dark match is, or you don't realize how much of an asshole I am because of course I'm talking about the lighting. The lights, they were all off for like a really decent chunk of time. The entire arena was basically pitch black. I mean, their spotlights still worked, but those are only spotlights. The actual arena lights, the entire arena, completely off for 15 minutes while poor JR and Lawler had to try and pretend like nothing was even wrong for the entire introduction. God bless their hearts.
Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Jim Ross, along with Jerry, the King Lawler, welcoming you to...
Number 6,
obvious audio editing.
WWE is no stranger to editing down their own audio, especially back in the era of SmackDown being a taped show. You would very often find some just egregious attempts at convincing the folks at home that the live crowd was actually booing or cheering any given wrestler when obviously none of that was taking place. And yes, Roman Reigns received those enhanced cheers probably more than anyone, while a wrestler like Daniel Bryan had their cheers quieted. Well, that in and of itself is ridiculous. ridiculous. What's even worse is doing that same audio editing in NXT, but not changing the audio that you use. There's not an entire stadium of people in NXT that could have possibly made this much noise.
That new Trapper Keeper, it's yours truly. I will be at NXT personally September 20th. I'll see you there.
Number 5, a vast virus database has been updated. And once again, we're on an episode of NXT, albeit this time we're jumping back to the game show Weird Ass Whatever the Fuck original. During a matchup between Nikki Bella and a young AJ Lee, the PA system in the arena suddenly erupted loudly with a vast virus database has been updated, leaving Michael Cole and Josh Matthews beside themselves on commentary, while also eliciting probably the biggest pop of the entire episode from the crowd. Man, heel Michael Cole really was right. Those days of NXT fucking sucked.
A vast virus database has been updated.
What in the world is going on?
Number 4, an unphenomenal debut. That isn't a word, but that's the best way that entry could possibly sound, so deal with it. The 2016 Royal Rumble was probably the first unpredictable Rumble since Edge back in 2010, and it's thanks to guys like AJ Styles making a surprise debut that made the match so interesting. The rumor mill had been spinning for weeks about Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson all jumping ship from New Japan to the WWE, and a lot of people speculated that if any of them, Styles would be most likely to appear in the upcoming Rumble. Number 3 hits, a theme song that we've never heard starts playing, and the camera cuts to Roman, and it just stays on Roman, while the Titantron slowly spells out "I am phenomenal" for the live crowd, a very obvious sign of who was to come. Viewers at home were treated to a very extended cut of the big dog. This was the first pay-per-view I watched live. I was not happy. Also worth noting, Ryback and Kofi Kingston's eliminations didn't make the cut either, Kofi's being notable as they also missed an extra one of those false eliminations that he specializes in. That is bullshit.
Is it?
Number 3, Vampiro. Alright, WWE only fans, if you don't know that name, prepare to meet my least favorite part of Lucha Underground. I know this is supposed to be WWE's production errors, but this was just too much fuckery to pass up on. AAA is basically Mexico's WWE, and during what was essentially their WrestleMania, Vampiro was on commentary and being goaded into hitting the ring. Vampiro stood up from commentary, but he just stood there. He didn't actually join the men inside the squared circle as his music hadn't been hit yet. Vampiro repeatedly asks for the music to be played over an awkwardly long time while Matt Striker furiously tries to justify the bullshit that was taking place before him. It takes, no joke, over 45 seconds of Vampiro nearly dying of high blood pressure for his music to finally hit.
Please, for the love of fucking God, put the music on. And you asked, and he shall receive.
Number 2, what the fuck am I even watching? Because seriously, how was this segment produced and aired on television? I'm not sure if it was live or not. During the legendary, if that's the word you want to go for, Cena Ryder Kane feud, a backstage segment took place in which Josh Matthews was interviewing John Cena before the men heard Eve screaming and some loud slams. Okay, so little context for you. The story here is supposed to be that Kane was kidnapping Eve, alright? Keep that in mind. The camera then suddenly cuts to Eve walking herself into an ambulance before backing up, the cameraman backing up, to capture Kane standing idly by, just staring off into the distance, only for the director's papers to be clearly seen moving into the picture just as Kane starts slamming Eve inside of an ambulance like we didn't literally just watch her walk herself in moments earlier. How in the fuck did this level of shit even take place? I think I swear too much in these. And number 1, The Undertaker plus fire equals bad. On 2 separate occasions, Dead Man Walking almost became more than a nickname due to the flames so synonymous with his brother. Most of us have already seen that wicked fireball that got shot up at Taker back at Elimination 2010, and yeah, that was pretty fucked up, but it wasn't even the poor bastard's first encounter with botched flames. While standing on the turnbuckle for his entrance, Undertaker was clearly confused with the aforementioned brother, because as his arms lifted up as well came Kane's fire from the turnbuckle straight into Taker's face. There are 2 different men on the planet today. One of them might have died, maybe both of them. I don't really know. But there are 2 different men that existed at least once that can lay claim to nearly burning Mark Calloway alive. Let that sink in.
There's one guy that will forever be in the World Wrestling Federation. And put fear in your heart.
And those are the 9 worst WWE editing mistakes, and Vampiro wanting his fucking music. What a psychopath. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments down below. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel and notifications, ring that bell.